Part 52. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 512. There are no clouds in the sky and no sunshine, but there is a sea breeze. The wind at the seaside is always very strong. The girl with short blonde hair stood on the beach, looking up at the two carrier-based aircraft climbing into the sky. Beside the swaying yacht, there is a girl with green curly hair, holding a piece of bread, tearing it open bit by bit, and feeding it to the seagulls. Her tail swayed with the movement, making people want to pull it. Missouri sat on the steps from the pier to the governor's house, pulled off two weeds growing between the gaps in the floor, and drew circles on the ground with his fingers, feeling that there is no greater sorrow than death. I'm so stupid, I'm stupid, I'm stupid. Don't judge people by their appearance, don't look down on anyone. The good admiral likes to say that milk volume determines strength. In fact, even the world champion Fuzu may not have much fighting ability, but the chopping block Loli Veneto is powerful. She looks like a little Lolita. She was originally a healing artifact and mascot. Who knew that a small body has great power? With that kind of power, he is a powerful enemy with all his strength, not weaker than Washington at all, but he actually underestimated him. The unscrupulous admiral still wants to make money for himself, so he thinks too much. Without reminding him, I thought about it, and when I heard my promise, I was snickering, thinking that I would lose. I won't even die. Get into your bed. He knew clearly that Xiao Zai was so strong, but he didn't know how to stop him. At least he said, Missouri, you have to be careful, Xiao Zai is very strong. Losing to Bismarck and Washington doesn't matter, but losing to Bazai and counterattacking is really annoying. It seems that Saratoga has tricked me, and I feel a little unhappy. The only thing he couldn't do was lose to Xiao Zai. If he was so embarrassed, he would be shadowed for the rest of his life. I said it in front of so many people. Wouldn't it be shameless to not keep your promise? The company is so familiar with this place. If a secret is known to a woman, it is no longer a secret. There are so many women here. This is not even a secret. There are also the sisters of the company, York City and Bumblebee. She will definitely do it in the future. If you know this, you will be laughed at. Sleeping with me, it's definitely not possible. How can I sleep with a man? If I do, it's over. The relationship comes from the heart. Missouri has a charming and lusty young appearance, but she is not very stable in her heart and can be calm about everything. Again, girls are the most emotional. Anyway, she was sitting alone on the steps, feeling extremely unhappy and feeling like tears were about to fall. It's not that I haven't lost in the past, I definitely haven't lost so miserably. I can't beat anyone I randomly pull out, not even a little Lolita. My mind was in a mess and I didn't know what to do. Suddenly I heard footsteps approaching and heard another voice. Missouri, why are you sitting here alone? Nothing. Missouri turned and saw Lexington. The other party had a gentle smile, and I felt that a lot of the darkness and confusion in my heart were suddenly dispelled. It's great. It's not like my younger sister, Saratoga, who looks complacent when others fail. It's really a big difference between my older sister and my younger sister. I remembered that a certain unscrupulous admiral just came to pretend to comfort me, and drove people away with a straight face without saying a word. Go to hell, asshole. However, facing Lexington, he couldn't keep a cold face. No matter from any perspective, in terms of history, strength, and character, this is a senior who is worthy of relying on, Lexington. Feeling Lexington sit down next to her, Missouri heard a gentle voice again, have you been failing and frustrated? No, it's not that easy to be frustrated. It's not like I've never been defeated before. Really not. With a warm voice, like a sister or a mother, Missouri said, a little bit, well, why are everyone in your townhouse so strong? Even Xiaozai has surpassed me. Sitting on the steps, Lexington's movements were dignified, with one hand flat on his legs and one hand supporting the side of his face. He glanced at Missouri, narrowed his eyes again, sat up straight again, and looked into the distance. Everyone is very strong because they have attacked many times. As for Xiaozai, she has also practiced many times. The admiral likes her and trains her. Everyone must make way for her. She's really a lolicon. Missouri was indignant. Xiaozai was tricked by her. The sea breeze was getting stronger. Lexington held down his long hair and said, "Just listen to what Xiaozai said. There is no need to pay attention. It is just a joke." Missouri felt better and smiled. "If you don't tell me, I've made up my mind that I won't sleep with you, but I can't just pretend that nothing happened." "Does Xiaozai like anything?" "Xiaozai, she likes Admiral and Sister Miao." "Sister Miao," Missouri tilted her head. "Sister Miao is Bismarck. If you want to give Xiaozai a gift, buy her an oversized Sister Miao doll. She will definitely like it." "Dolls are easy to handle, but where can I buy Sister Miao's doll for her?" "Then I don't know." Recalling his life with Xiaozai, Lexington took off his headdress and fiddled with it in his hands. "Actually, there is no need for gifts. Just play with her more. In a few days, she will happy to call you Sister Missouri." "Missouri, do you like Xiaozai very much?" Missouri thought of Xiaozai's chubby figure and the cutest little face in the world. What a healing tool. She stretched her legs straight and kicked. "She is so cute, I want to become a Lolita control. If you like small houses, come and have fun at the governor's mansion." "I want to, but I can't move instantly. I'm always traveling." "It's a great trip." Speaking of travel, Missouri feels a little less melancholy. When traveling, carry a backpack, bring some money, and go wherever you want. Sometimes you take trails, sometimes you take mountain roads, sometimes you take highways. See the famous mountains and rivers, and see the beautiful scenery hidden in the mountains. Small villages, but also cities with steel forests. Carrying a backpack, walking in the city, surrounded by tall buildings and beautiful trees, you can stop wherever you want. I have been to Xiankong Temple and walked along the Shu Road. I also went to Miaojiang. I heard that there is voodoo magic there, but I have never seen it, but there are beautiful silver jewelry there. I also went to Shangjing, wearing a windbreaker and a cotter hat, a pair of sunglasses, a pipe, and walked down the streets. I have also been to the savannah to watch wildebeest migration. Leopards are very powerful, but cheetahs are useless except for running fast. Cheetahs have tear marks, and leopards have tear marks. The patterns are different and easy to distinguish. I have also been to Goska and saw Washington there, the Washington in the garrison. Anyway, I have been to many places." Lexington smiled softly and showed a longing expression. "After hearing what you said, I wanted to try it. When I was walking in the city, I fell in love with the postcards and bought them. When I went to the scenic spots, I fell in love with the beautiful blankets. I also want to buy it. I also thought that if I want to spread it in my room, I should spread it in the whole room or in a small area. I sent candies to the governor's house from afar, but there is only one box of candies, and there are many people fighting for it." Thinking that they had a fight, Xiaozai and Lafite struggled with each other. Missouri hugged her legs with her hands and buried her head. "I thought to myself that while traveling alone, I fell in love with beautiful potted plants and beautiful decorations. I wanted to buy them, but I didn't know where to put them." "I can't feel your mood at all." Lexington saw Missouri's expression on his face and asked, "Does Missouri always travel alone?" "Sometimes with friends, most of the time alone. Traveling is good, but having home is also good." "I don't have a home." Lexington looked at Missouri and said generously, "A home means a distance. Admiral told me about you, otherwise try to treat this place as home." "Looking for the lost ship girl." Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 513. Lexington smiled broadly, while Missouri hugged her legs and fell into silence. She remembered why she came to the governor's mansion, because the company was causing trouble, so she met the admiral named Sugu. My senses were good, and I heard that the garrison had defeated the deep-sea flagship. I wanted to see it, so I accepted the invitation. But to be honest, I didn't have much thought about joining the garrison. Of course, it's not a lie. The main reason is that I haven't faced up to this problem for a few days. Now, if you want to say direct rejection and get along with him for a short period of time, I feel that the guardhouse is quite interesting. When it comes to staying, I don't have many thoughts in my mind. After all, we have only known each other for a few days. Facing Lexington's question, Missouri hesitated for a moment, did not give a direct answer, and asked softly, "What is it like to join the garrison?" Joining the garrison is a big deal, so it's not surprising that he has doubts in his heart. Lexington replied, "I asked me, but actually I can't remember. I can't give you an answer. I can only say that from what I can remember, I have no doubts about joining. I like it very much and have no regrets about it. We have just gone through a lot of setbacks, and now is the most vulnerable time." He kicked his legs, flipped his long hair, flexed his fingers, and pressed his knuckles, not knowing what to do. As he kept combing his wavy hair, Missouri looked at Lexington and thought, there are always some people, and a smile can easily make people open their hearts. Missouri whispered, "I have seen many ship girls who have joined the garrison. They go back and forth, saying they are admirals. Life seems to revolve around the admirals. There is always a feeling, it feels like living for others, and I feel like if I join the garrison, I will be bound for the rest of my life." While putting the headgear he took off back on, Lexington explained, "There are always ship girls who think that after joining the garrison, they can't leave. It's not that they can't leave, but they don't want to leave. It's not that there are no ship girls who leave the garrison. The ship girls are also independent. With your life, you can do whatever you want. I don't know what other people think, but as for me, staying by the admiral's side is mainly about being happy and at ease." Looking at the cloudless sky in the distance, where it was all blue, Lexington continued, "I am the wedding ship, and he is my favorite admiral. I like to watch him work and then make him coffee. I like to see him tired." I leaned on the chair and reached out to rub his shoulders. One day there were a lot of documents, so I took away a lot of documents and handed them to him when I was done. I was very happy to see him showing a helpless smile. "Yeah, well, listen to what I just said. There are actually not many things in the town hall, and as a secretary-ship, I can handle any documents. I like it so much. There will always be a lot of delusions, but that's another thing. There is one thing that is true, and I like it very much. We sit on the slope at night and watch the stars, and listen to him introduce to me where Sagittarius is and where is the Milky Way." Lexington's smile was full of happiness. Missouri couldn't understand it. He bent down and pressed his legs. "When I first woke up, I also considered joining the garrison. Later, I became stronger, experienced more, and lived for a long time. I felt that I can't do it alone. I was very happy. Later I heard that ship girls who join the garrison will easily like their admirals. I have met many people who pursue me, but I have no feelings for them at all." After Missouri finished speaking intermittently, Lexington organized his words, "It's easy to like. The main reason is, what should I say? It is not because of an invitation from an admiral that a ship girl will join the guardhouse. Joining the guardhouse shows that a ship girl has at least a good impression of the admiral. Living together and helping each other, the admiral is often an outstanding person, and the long-term contact continues, you will naturally like him. When you live together, it is easy for everyone to like someone else. It is not necessary to like the admiral. It is not that there is a force forcing you to like, well, it is difficult to explain. Anyway, Zeppelin, did you know? The one with medium long silver hair, she was originally an instructor at the Zhuangziu Naval Academy. She has been in the garrison for a while. Do you think she likes the admiral? No, worse. The city of York was built by the admiral, and it has been more than a year now. She must like the admiral, but if the admiral gives her a ring, she will definitely not take it. It is not enough. I think of the admiral who always likes to say, before you meet the girl you like, you always think you like a boy. This sentence is always used as a joke, but it actually has some truth. You don't like it? It feels strange to like a man, and it will be very sweet if you fall in love with him. If you haven't joined the town hall, you won't understand that feeling. I don't understand. Missouri looked at Lexington and hesitated for a long time. Actually, I don't have any feelings about joining the garrison. It's okay to join, and it doesn't matter if you don't, but think about it, if you really want to join the garrison, it would be nice to join your garrison. As she spoke, she rested her head on her knees, thinking to herself that she didn't know what the future would be like, and whether there would be someone she could fall in love with at first sight. But now that I think about it, this is the most exciting townhouse I have ever encountered. The admiral is pretty good, and everyone can talk to him. Speaking of which, there is some degree of fate. After all, the two of them would not meet again in a few days. There are many people in the town guard mansion, and everyone likes it very much. I can definitely be friends with Bismarck, and Richelieu should have nothing to do with him either. Bizai seems to be very interesting. Speaking of which, if you join the garrison, can you also receive counter-attack services? I want Zai's service, a healing artifact. Especially, there is such a gentle Lexington Sr. here. It was obvious that we could pursue the victory, but Lexington said, don't be angry, and don't be hot-headed. Think about it, for a ship girl, joining the garrison is a lifelong matter. I hope you join our garrison mansion. After all, I am the secretary-ship of the guarding mansion, but to be honest, it doesn't matter whether you join or not. Don't feel embarrassed if you refuse, this should be a matter of mutual consent between you and me. Missouri held her head in her hands. The little house is very cute. I joined the town hall, so I can lock her in my room. If the small house wins, long live the small house. The deep-sea flagship can be destroyed. The admiral is a person without ideas. He doesn't want to be the best in the world. The garrison is always doing nothing. There are so many people here. One more of me is not more, and one less is not more. I think it doesn't matter if you want to travel. You can buy whatever you like during your trip. Because I have my own home, my own port area. Everyone is very strong. I joined the garrison and we are all companions. I won't refuse to invite everyone to practice. We will change one person a day and not repeat it for a week. No need to challenge strong people everywhere. He also promised me that as long as I join the garrison, he would give me super powerful equipment. Mk6, Cat Cannon, and Type 91 armor-piercing projectiles. Talk about a good gift. No matter how you think about it, it seems like there is no harm in doing anything. Anyway, give it a try. Thinking of something else, Missouri put a hand on her lips, not deliberately, and her expression was charming. No, it's not all benefits and no harm. I heard from the company that the admiral is a pervert. By the way, he really has 10 marriages. Ship. Lexington couldn't comment on this either. She smiled helplessly and nodded sadly. Yes, he has 10 wedding ships, and there may be more in the future. Richelieu, Shokakuziwahi, Washington, anyway, there are more. There are many people waiting. Missouri held her cheeks with her hands. Let me think about it. He can be alone for one day, and only once every half a month. It's not half a month. Not only what I just said, many people in the garrison like him. From now on, the admiral will accompany one person every day, and it may take a month or two to finish. Lexington chuckled again. I don't care. Don't worry, he must spend 1 day with me every week, it's agreed. I finally understand why he doesn't want to conquer the world. His body can't bear it. How can he have so many ideas? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De-Rong Yan. Chapter 514. There are many ways to get a ship girl to join the garrison. First, build, awakening people from the history and memory of steel, and the ship girl will directly join the garrison, no matter if you are bad or not. Just like parents giving birth to a child, even if they don't want to admit it, they must admit that they are their parents. The children recognize their parents, and the ship's wife recognizes the admiral. As long as you don't go too far, the ship girl will always stay in your garrison. Of course, even if it is built by you, you are not allowed to do whatever you want, hit it as you like, or scold it as you like. Not to mention anything else, Sugu still remembers the whip kick from York City, and his face still hurt for a long time. After all, there is a big difference between the ship girl who can marry you and the children of your parents. Generally speaking, bailing out a ship is to free a ship girl from hatred, anger, and pain, and to free a deep-sea ship girl from the shackles of the deep sea and transform into a ship girl. Then you are the great benefactor who rescued the ship girl from pain and gave her a new life. It is natural to recognize her as an admiral. Don't be too mean, many things will fall into place. In another sense, fishing is the encounter and invitation, which is the most difficult and tortuous. Some ship girls take a fancy to you and join the garrison if they like you. This is easy to handle. Some ship girls regard joining the garrison as something they have to do or as a job. In this case, you need to spend a lot of time cultivating feelings. Just like Zeppelin, he still can't say admiral. Cushing, through Princeton and through the help of many destroyers in the garrison, kept people behind, and now considers the garrison home. However, even now, destroyers are supposed to be easy to deal with, but now they can only scratch their heads and pinch their faces. I can't be like a small house, kissing and not caring. He can't be like Sigsby, who will take the initiative to sit on your lap and call you admiral. Well, this is also a bit like Sigsby's little fairy character. In short, fishing a boat is never easy. Lexington? What did you say? Missouri promised to stay in the garrison. Turning to look to the side, Missouri was talking to Bismarck. Bismarck doesn't really like to talk, but she won't be cold-faced when others talk to her. On the one hand, she recognized Missouri's strength. On the other hand, Sugu wanted to bail out the boat. She also knew that and wanted to work hard to leave a good impression on others. Anyway, they talked happily. Lexington smiled. Admiral, you heard right, Missouri promised to stay. You didn't lie to me? When did it become so easy to salvage a boat? I don't think I'm that charming. Zeppelin was hindered by Akagi and Bismarck staying in the garrison, and Cushing was hindered by Princeton. However, the time they got together was too short. Even if the big killer Lexington was dispatched, Sugu did not feel that it would be that fast. After all, this is Missouri. In the game, it should be at least a 6-star color skin. Here, some good people give the ship girl a rating of 3, 6, or 9. Missouri is also a 6-star, powerful, beautiful, and rare. Not to mention the Missouri, the Enterprise has been struggling for so long, and now there is no sign of salvaging the ship. Even if York City and Hornet are dispatched, of course, York City and Hornet are not as capable as Lexington, which makes people worry. Kidnapped by the Enterprise. Fishing a boat is never that easy. You are only attractive in our eyes, and in Missouri's eyes, we are attractive. Lexington smiled again. Anyway, I want her to call you Admiral immediately, But I can't do it, but at least you will live in the governor's mansion, and the remaining it depends on the time. As long as he agrees to stay in the garrison, and as long as there is no big accident, joining the garrison and being called admiral is a sure thing. Lexington has some little devilish thoughts. After all, he is not a joker. Advisor Sue, what exactly have you done? Missouri will agree to stay. The drills have been failing, and I have taught Xiao Zai a lesson. She is at a low point. Just talk to her and comfort her. Sugu muttered, I also went to comfort him, but I was driven away by Missouri. Saying this, thinking about it again, I am not as good as Lexington, who is both a gentle and virtuous wife and the eldest sister among American ship girls. Well, not to mention the eldest sister, at least she is also the senior among American ship girls. When a person is in depression and melancholy, and a Lexington senior who is as beautiful, kind, and gentle as an angel appears, the lethality is unparalleled, and he may even be able to rescue the boat. After sorting through the whole thing, Sugu said to himself, it just feels like I've tricked someone. First I found two gangsters to tease the girl, and then I came out as a hero to save the beauty. Lexington thought for a while, and it seemed to make sense. She smiled again, it's not just comfort. In fact, Missouri also said that everyone is very good. They want to be friends with Bismarck and like Xiaozai. Think about it, and join a company has a good atmosphere, stable wages, and good colleagues, and who the boss is doesn't matter too much. As long as the boss doesn't interfere in employees' private lives or harass employees, then that's pretty much it. Sugu looked melancholy. Missouri agreed to stay, but it feels like I haven't done anything. I don't want to be a boss with no sense of existence. What else do you want to do? How do you make your presence felt? Are you married? Lexington pretended to have a straight face at first. He smiled first and then blinked. As an employee, after working for a long time, the company is good and the boss is good. I will always have a good impression of my boss and regard the company as my home. We will not be like those old slick and old-fashioned employees who have worked for a long time and instead of working hard, they rely on their old age to help them. We will still be very grateful. If you are a boss or an admiral, how much favorability you have will depend on how well you improve it. With your spirit of telling stories to Xiao Zai every day, with your gentleness of stroking Utopia's long hair every day, it will be easy to win Missouri. What? It makes me seem like a lolicon. I don't, every day. Not long after, Missouri also saw Sugu and Lexington. Not long after, she ended the conversation with Bismarck. She sat next to Lexington and across from Sugu. Hey, pervert admiral. There are 10 wedding ships, which is rare even among admirals. He can be called a pervert admiral. After all, ordinary admirals don't deliberately gain favor, and it's not easy to marry so many people. I also learned that a certain person was married to many people, especially if he didn't give rings to many people. Of course, if you don't give a ring, you are playing with your feelings, and if you give a ring, you are a stallion pervert. Sugu was used to being called a pervert admiral. He didn't answer and said, "Are you agreeing to stay?" Wearing a one-shoulder shirt, the collarbone and shoulders were exposed. Her long brown hair fell from her shoulders in waves, and her fingers were constantly twirling a few hair strands. Missouri shrugged, "I should have agreed to live here a long time ago. I was sold by the company. What can I do? I agreed to stay, what about that?" I saw Missouri stretched out her hand again, rubbing two fingers together, asking for money. "You agreed to equip me with Mk6, cat cannon, and Type 91 armor-piercing projectiles. You haven't called me Admiral yet." Sugu remembered that Missouri had a very familiar character. When they first met, they seemed to be very familiar with each other and even made jokes about going on a blind date. However, when I was given equipment, I was reminded by the Prince of Wales that Bizai was easy to handle, but Bismarck was difficult to handle. When it came to his sister, Bismarck showed no mercy to anyone. It is still a bit difficult to pass the Bismarck level. This kind of thing cannot be given as an order as an admiral. Missouri rolled her eyes at Sugu and said, "Forget it if you don't. Anyway, I didn't join the garrison for you. If you want me to call you admiral, you'll be so handsome. If you want me to call you admiral, it's not impossible. Otherwise, let's do this." Missouri laughed and first wanted to make fun of Lexington, but the dignified Lexington made it difficult for him to speak. She happened to see Xiaozai walking by after finishing her meal. She grabbed Xiaozai and said, "Give Xiaozai to me. It doesn't matter if I call you admiral." Not wanting to make a joke, Sugu snorted, "You think too much, my little house." Seeing Xiaozai break away from Missouri, after Sugu finished speaking, he pulled Xiaozai and hugged Xiaozai. Xiaozai hugged Sugu's waist and was very satisfied with her admiral's words. She made faces at Missouri. Seeing Xiaozai leave, Missouri looked at Sugu, "Really, let me sleep with Xiaozai at night." "I won't sleep with you, you want to sleep with the admiral." Xiaozai shouted loudly, and Sugu rubbed Xiaozai's pink hair. He had been waiting for this for a long time, but he couldn't say it himself. Loss will not last forever, nor will it truly accompany someone to sleep. Not to stop joking, Missouri stretched out a finger and pointed a few times, "It's okay for me to sleep with your admiral, but you have to sleep together too." However, Missouri obviously underestimated Xiaozai. Xiaozai was not an honest child. As the boss of the evil forces in the town hall, she knew a lot of pranks. She responded, "Okay, 3 people sleep together." Missouri's expression was dull, thinking to herself, when did the little loli become so powerful? However, adults always have many ways to deal with little Lolita. No matter how naughty or mischievous the little Lolita is, it is impossible for them to be an opponent of adults. Missouri stood up, took 2 steps, snatched the small house from Sugu's hand, and ravaged it fiercely. In addition to Bazai, Xiaozai obviously has another natural enemy. After ravaging him for a long time, Missouri finally let Xiaozai go. Xiaozai learned his lesson and ran away. Missouri glanced at Lexington and then at Sugu, with a serious expression, "By the way, what should I do while staying in the town hall?" "You don't have to do anything." After being stunned for a while, Missouri said, "If you don't do anything, what are you doing fishing for a boat?" Sugu thought for a while and said, "Of course, sailing a boat is not a passing thing, fishing is the goal. My goal, if possible, it is best to have one in the garrison, such as Yingrui, Zayahi, Dadian, Suffolk, Enterprise, Rome, Des Moines, Duke of York, King George V, of course, U-96 and U-156 are the most important. In reality, there are still more ship girls than in games, at least the ultimate version and the more powerful version of the game. I'm convinced of your collecting habit. Why should I stay in the townhouse if you don't want to do anything? You can also travel when you join the town hall. Of course, you have joined the town hall. It is best to take everyone in the town hall to play more. They are always bored in the town hall. You like to make movies, and acting is the same. There is a drama room in the garrison. You can also tell a lot of stories to the destroyer, you should also like it." Missouri was confused, "I like traveling. I said it before. How did you know I like these things?" "Guess, it seems that the guess is correct, and the mind is consistent." As he said this, Sugu thought to himself that the Missouri had participated in many movies in history, and the ship girl had awakened due to the history and memory of steel, so it was very possible for her to have such a hobby. Besides, in history, the USS Missouri has become a memorial, so it is very possible that Missouri has an interest in telling people stories. In order to salvage the boat, I also did some research. Missouri was very smart and thought of something in an instant, and she glared at Sugu. Fishing for Missouri can be said to be successful. After all, I agreed to live in the garrison. It's okay to say it's unsuccessful. After all, I haven't sincerely called him Admiral. Anyway, that was it. Missouri began her life in the garrison. Sue, why do you have such a nickname? I have no idea. Why did the people around you change again? Where is Saratoga? What do you mean it's changed again? That's Ziwahi. Haha, Missouri, I told you that the craftsmanship in London is the best. Look at her, a lady. She is beautiful and elegant, knowledgeable and courteous, kind and courteous. She is good at flower arrangement and sewing, and of course she is good at cooking. I even went to practice specifically before. I can't see anything wrong from your expression. You're pretty awesome. Missouri, you want to test me? I told you, I will definitely understand what you understand, and I will also understand what you don't understand. Then let me ask you, what are the functions of leeks and veal loin? Missouri, let me also ask you, what is the function of saffron? Can I put the Yamato's broken horn in my room? Of course not, my trophy. I got up early in the morning, and I saw Bismarck coming out of your room. Peeping into privacy. Hee hee. Missouri, you are still wearing yellow stockings. It is still fashionable. Let me introduce Richelieu to you. Learn from it. Don't touch my little house. I told you, South Dakota is also very fat. Texas Hold'em, Royal Flush, you name it. Well, Ziwahi, Princeton, come to me. You pervert, I see you arguing with counterattack, and you're still a little maid. Are you a raider? Counterattack, why do you like being a maid so much? Prince of Wales, I lost again. Helena, Prince of Wales, two perverts, too much. Akagi is so delicious. York City and Bumblebee are not like the big sisters of the Enterprise at all. How should I talk to California? The submarine is also super cute. No, Sukov is cuter. No, U-81 can't be parted. A few days later, at night, Missouri sat by the bed, reached out and took off the star-shaped earrings, and placed them on the bedside table. Looking back at the surroundings, I want to hang a painting on the wall, change the decoration, and put some potted plants on the windowsill. I finally made friends with Richelieu. Bizai was very interesting, Saratoga's brother-in-law was controlling, Ziwahi was not even a wedding ship, I made lowly North Carolina cry, and royal sister North Carolina was a bit scary. Speaking of which, Sugu, the admiral, is quite interesting. It's not bad to join the garrison. It's not too difficult to call admiral. But, men always don't cherish things that are easy to get. He didn't even sign the resignation letter. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 515. After suppressing the deep-sea flagship and going to the ship's headquarters to discuss the next related matters with the company, there wasn't much else to do. It has been discussed that a series of publicity will be carried out in an orderly manner, led by the Ship Girl headquarters. After all, publicity is also very important to Kanyang headquarters. Suppressing the deep-sea flagship is a feat that demonstrates merit and is conducive to negotiations with the government and gaining more support. Anyway, the reward will not fall. Sugu has no interest in power. On the contrary, in order to avoid trouble, it doesn't matter that all the credit goes to the Ship Girl headquarters. Under the wise leadership and support of the Ship Girl headquarters, Admiral Sugu launched a powerful counterattack against the deep-sea flagship. Achieved an unprecedented victory. In order to obtain better publicity effect, under the deliberate manipulation of someone, several photos of Yamato Fukumai being humiliated were circulated in the Admiral Circle. Poor Fukumai Yamato, apart from being a model worker, I guess he will get another nickname in the future. There are a few more explosive photos, but I am still hesitating whether to spread them out immediately. Or, let's wait until the heat dissipates and then spread it out to start a new round of heat. On the other hand, I also think that even if the opponent is a deep-sea flagship, stripping someone's clothes will not have a bad impact. With the previous photos, everyone who can know must know it, and those who can't get the news will not get the news. After all, the channels are fixed. Keep it for your own collection, or something else. Let's talk about the preliminary plan. These days, as a powerful battleship in the garrison, Missouri also likes to challenge the strong, so Missouri regularly finds people for exercises every day. In most cases, she loses. After all, Alaska, Guam and others will not practice with her. Those who can practice with her are also the strong combat power of the garrison. However, she is no better than York City. She always loses and always plays the role of a student. Missouri is much stronger and should be said to be a better challenger. The more times you practice, you can still win 1 or 2 games. No matter what, I can win. There is no need to be proud after winning Washington. Wait until you win Bazai. I invited her, but she wouldn't practice with me. She always said, "It's so annoying, I don't want to move, and I want to rest." It's not exciting to follow her, and I feel discouraged just by looking at her appearance. Unfortunately, everyone screams she is the lonely queen of the North. She's not the lonely queen of the North, she's the lonely homegirl of the North. Besides, she's also good at making people discouraged. In addition to exercises, Missouri also tries to build good relations with everyone, whether it is battleships such as Bismarck, Lexington, Prince of Wales, etc., or San Juan, Leipzig, Atlanta, etc. Sue, what does Bismarck like? Like me. Don't be ashamed. Xiaozai and Bazai. That's pretty much it. Prince Eugen is so pitiful. Soon after, she found the short-haired woman standing by the pier and said, "Bismarck, Xiaozai and Bazai are so cute. You have 2 good sisters." Sue, what does the Prince of Wales like? I. As an admiral, it's good to have some dignity. It doesn't matter all kinds of alcohol, whiskey, brandy, Laubigen, sake, she also likes Lafite. Do you like drinking Lafite or Lafite? In the cafeteria in the evening, I found a blonde woman spinning a wine glass again. Prince of Wales, how do you judge the quality of red wine? Cheongsam, is this how you wear it? The plain slit cheongsam is worn on the body. As a battleship, Missouri has a figure that everyone envies. The cheongsam that tests the most figure is worn on the body without any violation. Atlanta has an out-of-the-box personality. When she talks, she never looks at people or the occasion. "Yeah, Missouri, you look good in your clothes, but why do you always smell like dust and have no temperament? I know what clothes are most suitable for you now, Princeton, take off your bunny costume." She was also an American ship, so she had joined the garrison, and she quickly became familiar with the people. She even wore a maid outfit and worked in a coffee shop for half a day, just to make friends. Missouri has participated in many movies in history. Today, Missouri likes and wants to be an actress. It must be said that she is also talented. She wears a maid uniform and looks like a maid. Wearing a black skirt and a ruffled apron, she waited for someone to come in, bowed, and said with a wink, "Welcome, my lord." Others didn't know it, but Sugu gave her a fright. With her signature seductive move, Missouri smiled charmingly and tucked a few strands of her long hair behind her ears. "Master, do you want juice, snacks, or me?" Next to him was Saratoga, and he was unhappy about being teased. Sugu raised his eyebrows. "Missouri, do you know the origin of the iron rice bowl?" Missouri blinked, and Saratoga looked curious. In ancient times, there was a beautiful maid in a wealthy house who broke a bowl. The master wanted to punish her, so the maid knelt down to admit her mistake. After saying this, Sugu stopped, and Missouri asked curiously, "Where's the back?" Sugu then smiled brightly, "I can't say it anymore. If I say it anymore, the grapevine will fall down." Baffling. Trying to make friends with everyone, from all aspects, Missouri said that he wanted to stay in the garrison, which was not perfunctory. She has a familiar personality and quickly becomes friends with many people. However, there are also those who fail, for example, Xiaoze, who talks about building a good relationship, but ends up ravaging people crazily. Compared to Bazai, she was a hungry wolf who would take the initiative to look for food, so Xiaoze complained repeatedly in front of Sugu. "Admiral, Admiral, when will that weird sister and aunt leave?" Then Xiaoze received a reply from Sugu, "Your sister Missouri is not leaving. She has joined our garrison." Suddenly, visible to the naked eye, Xiaoze froze, as if he was petrified and turned into a stone statue. Just a little click with your finger and the whole thing will fall apart. When she left and walked in a daze, Sugu did not take the opportunity to do anything. Except for occasional visits, the town hall needs to be entertained. Even if they are entertaining, there is nothing wrong with Missouri. If you have nothing to do, you will have nothing to do. After a dinner, she suddenly wanted to try learning cooking. It's normal to ask Xianghe is the master. It would be right to ask Prince Eugen for advice. Bismarck's little valet and nanny are pretty good at craftsmanship. Seeing her actually discussing recipes with London seriously made many people in the town hall panic. Is this the rhythm of another dark cooking master? Fortunately, after reading a series of recipes, Missouri was quite self-aware and finally decided not to join in the fun. He can't compete in the decathlon like Lexington, so it's better to just be a warrior. I also thought that I didn't need to please anyone or capture anyone's stomach. She has long wavy brown hair and always looks charming and sexy. She also likes to talk to Sugu. Since he is not very fond of her, or even not very fond of her, he will not be intimate with Sugu-hen. Due to his personality, he occasionally says frivolous words, but nothing real. It's like the virgin Baichi in the anime, but the word Baichi cannot be associated with Missouri. Life in the Tutelary mansion is not smooth sailing, and there are also minor ups and downs. After discovering that the relationship between Sugu and the Prince of Wales was a little different from the past, Saratoga was a little sensitive, which made Missouri feel a little hostile to Saratoga. Saratoga solemnly took the titles of Vixen and Vixen off Akage's head and gave them to Missouri privately. It's so indiscreet. I always lift my hair in front of strange men. Hey, Saratoga, people are just flipping their hair. Besides, they have joined the garrison and I am the admiral, so how can I be called a stranger? Brother-in-law, tell me the truth, have you ever been seduced by that vixen? We agreed to sleep together, but we didn't keep it. We didn't touch each other with our fingers. We thought too much. As Saratoga rambled on, Sugu thought on the side that Akage looked dignified in front of others, except for her ship attire, which looked like fox ears. After all, Akage is indeed a vixen. A strange combination of circumstances, or the girl's keen sixth sense. If it is the girl's keen sixth sense, will I have a relationship with Missouri in the future? Missouri's charming appearance still makes people think a lot. Actually, there are no ideas. Let's not talk about Missouri. Sugu has been in a dilemma these 2 days. Originally agreed to go out with Richelieu. They said it was shopping, but actually it was a date, and we went to Chuangzhou together. Go shopping, or enjoy delicious food while enjoying melodious music in a Western restaurant. Richelieu, who was fashionably dressed, attracted the attention of passers-by along the way. In fact, Sugu also attracted attention, mainly because the hand hooking his arm came from Richelieu. Richelieu looked cold, often serious, rigid, and serious, but he was fiery on the inside. Is this considered a gentleman, Admiral? You can't always let girls take the initiative. With a cold face, he said, yes, Zai will be very happy if you buy that big stuffed bear. And that box of candies, it would be nice to give it to Fantasy. Just go shopping honestly, even if you are buying a gift, there is someone waiting for you. I don't like narrow skirts. If you think it's suitable, Admiral, it's okay to try them. After returning to the governor's mansion from Chuangziu, Sugu fell into trouble. Richelieu's performance is too obvious, and he still doesn't understand. He is either an idiot or a blind man. Despite his somewhat unconfident personality, he is neither dull nor blind. However, if I was given a ring, I couldn't take it out. Except for Richelieu, everyone with a discerning eye can see Ziwehi's intentions. The little maid's intention to fight back has also been known for a long time. Washington has not shown any performance, so how can he ignore her, as well as the raiders, Xianghe, and so on. Fortunately, South Dakota got a ring and is already very happy, and North Carolina is okay as a lowly. In fact, apart from the battleship, Kent's wishes, and Leipzig's performance, Santiago will prepare soft cakes for himself every time, paired with his favorite mango. As for Fletcher, it has some bad influence. Missouri is a dark horse, Richelieu has always been a close enemy, and Ziwehi is also high on Saratoga's threat list. Privately, Saratoga doesn't call Ziwehi Ziwehi, nor does he call Ziwehi vixen or slut. I don't know where she learned a word. She now always calls Ziwehi a snipe. He keeps saying that they are all waterfowl anyway, and they can be called whatever they want. Ziwehi liked being by Sugu's side, but he wasn't as clingy as Saratoga. She likes to contradict Sugu, or make fun of him. There are several archery targets next to the playground of the Tutelary residence. Akage, Xianghe, and Ziwehi put on Kyoto uniforms and chest protectors, and were practicing or enjoying shooting with their bows. Sugu would occasionally check it out, but nothing happened. Ruhi has short hair and is naturally chic. I've heard it several times that Xianghe fights with great ferocity, but Sugu has never had the chance to see him. After all, as an admiral, he cannot go to sea. However, judging from Xianghe's archery performance, his lips were pursed tightly and his eyes were sharp. It was completely different from his usual image, and he was really mad. On a whim, Akage tied up his long black hair and turned it into a long ponytail. In short, they are all extremely heroic, and they are all handsome, dashing, and aloof Valkyrie. The arrow flew out and hit the bullseye. After shooting the arrow, I saw Sugu outside the field. Akage walked dignifiedly, Xianghe smiled softly, and Ziwehi walked quickly and walked to Sugu and sat down. A joking voice sounded, "My admiral, instead of going to the coffee shop to look at the pretty girls in uniforms, you are actually watching us shoot arrows." "You mean, as if I stay in the coffee shop all day long and look at me with colored glasses all day long. Is not it? I also have a lot of work every day, correcting documents, making plans, I can't stop. Obviously Lexington and Washington have done all the work. I remembered that I took the plan to someone for approval. Someone didn't read it and said, since Lexington has signed it, you can go directly to Leipzig to get the money. I passed. I see someone thinking about living a decadent life all day long, thinking about having a harem all day long." Thinking of Saratoga's words, Sugu laughed, "My dream of wine pools and meat forests, my dream harem, is missing a brave, handsome, and dashing snipe." What snipe? Ruhi naturally didn't know Saratoga's reputation. She and Saratoga were not from the same group. Of course Sugu would not tell who Sandpiper was. "I won't tell you, ha ha ha. Tell me or I'll kick you, asshole." Ziwehi feels like a cheerful childhood sweetheart. As for Sugu's true childhood sweetheart, there was no ambiguity at all from childhood to adulthood, and they got married just after graduation. This makes people understand the fact that anime is a lie. The life in the Missouri garrison, the sensitivity of the famous detective Saratoga, and the happiness and troubles of Sugu. There are many people in the town hall, and everyone has their own life. The ordinary life continues until this day. Well, it's not a big deal. On a sunny noon, Bismarck kicked Bazai out of the room again. She slept on Sugu's lap pillow with a book. Zinkson is always with Firefly. There are usually only 3 people in Liugjui, and Xiao Lidian is running. They stand in front of Sugu one by one, their faces full of joy. Longtian and Longtian are back, and they are not just 2 people. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 516. Various pavilions, deck chairs, and benches can be found everywhere in the Tutelary mansion, making it convenient for everyone to rest. Beside the wall covered with roses, Suguzebe was standing next to him. The location is remote, mainly because it is convenient for Bazai to read some books not suitable for children, so as to avoid being discovered by Bismarck. Otherwise, Bismarck would severely scold Bazai for his laziness and corrupt ideas, and Sugu for being pampered and indulgent and not doing his job properly. There was no radio, he was not in the office, he was hiding in a secluded place. Sugu didn't know what happened in the town hall. Xiao Lidian found him and told him that he knew that Tianlong and Longtian were back and brought back several sisters, who were already in the office. Asked them who Tianlong and Longtian brought back, and saw them running away in a hurry. A voice came from far away, "We are going to find Sister Xianghe and Rukaku. Get up, someone is back. If you don't want to move, go back." Sugu wanted to get up and leave, but Bazai didn't want to leave. It's not what happened to her sister Bismarck, the Admiral, and Xiaozai. She can't get motivated for other things, so it's best to read her book quietly. Unlike Bismarck, Sugu didn't change his mind despite repeated admonitions. He didn't have much patience and had no interest in teaching Bazai a lesson. He went back alone. Tianlong and Longtian did not come back together. This was something Sugu did not expect, but it was not too surprising. Generally speaking, the world is so big that if you lose contact with a person, the possibility of meeting him again is very slim. After all, there are some differences between ship girls and humans. As a ship girl, after waking up from the sea, she likes the sea more than anyone else and is close to the sea. Except for a small number of ship girls who live inland, most people live in seaside cities. Except for a small number of people who are engaged in other unrelated jobs, most of them are engaged in sea-related jobs. Lexington and Saratoga lived in Gishan, inland, for special reasons, because it was too similar to the hometown described by the Admiral. There are sweet-scented osmanthus trees everywhere on the street. In October, the whole street is fragrant. When it comes to California and so on, they live in inland cities, and they are also a minority. Most of them live in seaside cities and are mostly engaged in related jobs, so meeting each other is not too coincidental. In short, whether it is a coincidence or fate, it is a joyful thing for Tianlong and Longtian to meet their former companions and return to the town guard together. Sugu returned to the office and immediately saw Tianlong and Longtian, dressed in shirts and hip-hugging skirts, smartly dressed as white-collar workers in the urban workplace, standing by the window. Then he saw Lexington sitting on the single sofa next to the coffee table, pushing the candy plate and fruit plate on the coffee table. Several strange and beautiful girls were sitting on the couch, talking to Lexington. They must be his ship girl. Before he even said hello, everyone had already noticed him. One girl in particular was bent over, with her elbows propped on the coffee table, and one hand supporting the side of her face. "Admiral, we are back, do you recognize us?" The girl who spoke had her pink hair tied into a ponytail and wore a white shirt. It was obviously getting cold these days, so he tied up the hem of his shirt, exposing his flat belly and navel. In addition, there is a coat wrapped around the waist, and the long sleeves are tied into knots. She happened to be sitting on the sofa, leaning over again, and the top few buttons of her shirt were unbuttoned. Sugu stood, and from his angle, he could see the pattern on the girl's black bust. She has a gorgeous high school student appearance, sexy outfit, and her whole person is full of lust. Unlike games, the vertical painting will not be changed at will. In reality, clothing can be changed at will. One day you can wear a dress, and tomorrow you can wear a shirt with cropped pants. The image is ever changing. The hairstyle can also be changed: straight hair, wavy hair, middle parting, ponytail, there are many. Even hair color can be changed, just dye it. Besides, there is a huge difference between the second dimension and the third dimension. Unless there are obvious differences, it is difficult to tell who is who. The only thing that doesn't change is the ship's uniform, but a few people haven't shown it. Seeing him hesitating, Lexington would not give him a chance to embarrass himself, so he spoke early: "Megami, the heavy cruiser Suzuya. Also, Megami, Mikuma, and Kumino." The highest level is also called the support level because of the eroticism in the standing paintings and the provocative vow lines. These four sisters cannot be transformed in the game, are not strong enough, and are not as seductive as a Kaohsiung level family, so I really don't have much of an impression. Speaking of which, the game was reluctant to spend money to buy beds at first, so many ship girls who were neither beautiful nor rare were dismantled. In the later period, I gave up my money and bought rings, beautiful outfits, and beds. However, I never remembered to lock the ship, and some of the ship girls remained without them until they abandoned the ship. The reinforcement level has been retained since the beginning of the game because it is relatively rare. Lexington named the identities of several people, but Suzuya had already seen the hesitation in Sugu's eyes. She stuck out the tip of her tongue at Sugu: "Sister Lexington, don't say it. Oh, it doesn't matter, it was the same before anyway. In this way, it's impossible to tell who is who among us." Taking a deep breath, there was nothing he could do. Sugu admitted honestly, "I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it before." "Admiral, don't worry, Suzuya, please stop messing around." The speaker was Megami. He had orange hair tied into a side ponytail and was wearing a hooded sweater, a short skirt and black stockings. He was also full of lust. Better than Suzuya, more stable, but not much better. She was holding oranges, putting them into her mouth piece by piece, while scolding her sister. I thought to myself, an admiral is an admiral, not something that everyone can mess around with. However, Megami was obviously not dignified, and Suzuya was not happy. "Megami-san, you have complained a lot in the past. Facts are facts, and others naturally have the right to speak." Sugu could only smile bitterly on the side, thinking about making up for it in the future. Suzuya not only has support, but also having a lot of support often means a cheerful and lively personality. She looked at Sugu, smiled happily, raised her hand and waved: "Hello, Admiral, I officially report to you, remember us, I am Suzuya." The four sisters obviously had similar personalities and raised their hands one after another. Uppermost. The medium-long yellow-green hair seems to have faded after dyeing, and the color looks a bit strange. The girl also wore a headband. Except for the bangs on the lower side, all her hair was fixed back by the headband. A plaid shirt, a knee-length skirt, and a gray windbreaker. She also followed her sisters and waved. "I'm Mikuma." The most senior girl also looks the youngest and greenest. She has black hair, unlike in the game, where a bunch of hair is tied up on the right side. She is simply black and long. The clothes are almost the same as Megami, but the color of the clothes has changed slightly, and it seems to imitate the eldest sister's clothes. "I'm Kumino." After they finished speaking one by one, they suddenly started laughing again. They all looked like high school students, full of lust and support. he is no longer as easily embarrassed as before. Sugu hesitated and waved, "I am Sugu, your admiral. I will be responsible for taking care of you in the future. Please feel free to leave it to me." As expected, he was full of support. Suzwei clasped his fingers on his collar and said, "You are the admiral. I can rest assured that I will leave it to you. Does it look good? I noticed that you have been watching. If you perform better in the future, you will receive a lot of benefits." To be honest, Sugu didn't look specifically, he just glanced at it unconsciously. He touched his nose awkwardly, and Suzwei laughed. "How did you meet Tianlong and Long Tian?" Sugu tried to change the subject, but a scolding sounded. "Asshole admiral, you actually know how to come back, I'm going to teach you a lesson." The voice was a little childish. Sugu turned around and immediately saw Xiaozai. There was a little girl beside Xiaozai. A little girl, her hair color is between silver and gray, and her long hair is tied into a low ponytail. He was wearing a gray jacket and a coat with only the first button buttoned as a cloak. Her ship uniform was not put away, there was a flight deck behind her, and she was holding a pointer in her hand. Her expression was a little fierce, but she also gave people a feeling of vitality. Seeing Sugu staring at her again, the little girl's expression became more fierce, but also cuter. "Admiral, why are you looking at us like this? That's very strange." Ruhi just entered the office. She followed the little girl, looked at Sugu and blinked, then put her hand on the girl's head. "Why is there a heating table here?" The semicircle on top of the little girl's head is divided into 4 parts, resembling a stove mantle. The boss was unhappy when his head was held down. The little girl turned around. She immediately saw a green skirt, short hair, and a smiling face. "Ruhi, it's you, we're going to be angry. If you marry a chicken, you will follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, you will follow the dog. No, it should be said that whoever you choose to become an admiral will have a similar personality. It just so happens that this is the truth about the compatibility of husband and wife, it's not right. It should be said that those who are close to vermilion are red and those who are close to ink are black." Anyway, Ruhi follows Sugu, and she also likes to joke. Of course, the joke is not meant to be malicious, and it can only be made to people who are heartless and familiar. Ruhi made a gesture with his hands on the little girl's head. "A stove is just right, and it can hold a pot of Odin." The little girl was completely angry and stepped on Ruhi's foot. "Remember, we are not easy to mess with. As a ship girl, she won't get hurt easily, and it will still hurt." Ruhi quickly pulled back his foot, stretched out his hand and pinched the little girl's face hard. "Ryu Xiang, who was beaten flat, you are back again. When did we come back? This is our first time here. I have to say that compared to the deep sea dragon Xiang, apart from being shorter, slightly younger, and not having the steel skin shrimp around, they look exactly alike." A unique little girl, not only Ruhi but also Sugu recognized her. "Long Xiang. It's us. Why are you back too?" Long Xiang crossed his arms and said aggressively, "Why can't we come?" Slapping his forehead, "Not to mention why, the little girl is so cute." Sugu squatted in front of Long Xiang. "Of course you can come back. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Suzwei muttered in a low voice, "The admiral is obviously much better to Long Xiang than he is to us." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 517. Tianlong and Long Tian dictated that they should have returned to the garrison a long time ago. Their jobs are not important or unique. After all, it is just an office in a small county, so it is relatively easy to find a replacement. I didn't come back until now because I was delayed because of the encounter. There wasn't much to note about the encounter. In a big city, the top sisters were doing jobs similar to sales. The workplace is not remote, on the contrary it is a large commercial building. After Long Tian and Long Tian finished their work report, they went shopping in a shopping mall, and that's how they met. The encounter seemed coincidental, but also seemed natural. Rather than saying it was a coincidental encounter, Sugu felt strange that Long Xiang was with the top sister. No matter how you think about it, Long Xiang doesn't seem to have much to do with the top sisters. They are not sisters, and they have never fought side by side. It's not like Bismarck and Prince Eugen, the Prince of Wales and Counterattack, are naturally close to each other. In comparison, Mutsu is a battleship, Fuzu is Yamato Nadeshiko, her cooking skills are unparalleled and she can take care of others, and otherwise, the Takao sisters are more reliable. Regarding this point, Suzui retorted, Long Xiang doesn't have any sisters either. If she follows us, we won't treat her badly. No one was sensitive, it was just an ordinary chat, Sugu expressed his thoughts. Suzui looked around and found no one, so he started to complain, Akagi and Kage are the most irresponsible. They left alone, it doesn't matter whether they leave or not. Akagi is like a vase, and it looks fine when placed there. Very beautiful, very dignified, and very face-like, but she doesn't know how to do any housework and needs someone to take care of her. She also snatches snacks from little Lolita, who do you think will follow her? Sugu was stunned for a while. He couldn't imagine that you would be shameless, Akagi, if you snatched little Loli's snacks. Thinking about Akagi's past actions, it's not like he couldn't do such a thing. It didn't count that he was using his chopsticks to pick up the food in his own bowl. He was also caught using his chopsticks to pick up the chicken legs in Ian's bowl. He kept saying that children should eat more vegetables. Kaga is better, but not much better. He drinks alcohol all day long and reads some poems that he half understands. Shokaku is good. Suzui found that Ziwikaku was not next to him. He was not far away, so he probably couldn't hear him. Whispered, hello Xianghe, Ruhi is too bad. I still don't know how they got together with Tianlong, Ryuada, and Liugzhu. Dangerous buildings are hundreds of feet high, and you can pick the stars with your hands. Not to mention illegal buildings, Fuzhang and Shancheng are unfortunate sisters. Kaohsiung's sisters. Before Suzui finished speaking, Long Xiang's face turned pale, we don't want to follow Sister Kaohsiung. Her cooking is super terrible, and she still likes to cook it, and she insists on being eaten. Another dark cooking master, Sugu wondered, how is it compared to London? Mikuma fell into memories and his face turned livid, we are evenly matched. At least we won't be left behind. Megami also spoke. All of them were serious. Consultant Su said, you all seem to have tasted Kaohsiung's craftsmanship. You should have gotten along with them. Where are they? Suzui said in a serious tone, they seem to have opened a noodle shop, a ramen shop. It just so happened that you always said before, I'll give it to you. She laughed again and repeated two sentences, I'll give it to you, I'll give it to you. Seeing Suzui smiling, her pink hair was much brighter than that of Bazai, and she was full of support. Sugu didn't know whether it was him who was dirty or Suzugu was dirty. He rubbed his nose and said, real or fake? Where are they? Suzui nodded, but said, of course it's fake, we don't know where they are, otherwise you can try Kaohsiung's craftsmanship today. Not to mention Kaohsiung, Mutsu is okay. While talking, Sugu thought to himself that Eugen's Mutsu was charming and sexy, and it was not bad at all as a secretaryship. Even though Eugen controlled Loli all day long, Mutsu still managed the garrison in an orderly manner. There are differences among the same model, but generally speaking, the differences are not too big. Mutsu should be quite reliable. Suzui was silent, his voice low, just think about it, Mutsu blew himself up. In history, A sudden explosion occurred near the number 3 turret of the Mutsu. The hull instantly broke in two, the front section flipped to starboard, and it sank almost immediately. Nowadays, no one has high hopes for Mutsu as a ship girl. Sugu raised his eyebrows. Where is Dai Feng? The four sisters cooperated tacitly, and the top said, Dai Feng is leaking urine. Aoba. Kumino said softly, Quincy mistress, Ai Baichi. As soon as the girl finished speaking, she was immediately hit by her sister Suzuya, shut up and beat Mr. Bai to death. Suddenly something came to mind, and Sugu said, where are Ise and Hinata? Suzuya was shocked, Admiral, you actually remember them. Of course I remember them. Sugu thought to himself, Ise and Hinata, these two sisters are not very strong, and their portraits are not flattering. Fortunately, the transformation level is low, and there are also expedition missions with good rewards. The only thing that requires aviation battleships is that, otherwise I would not remember them. Mikuma said, the battleship with the least presence. Megama said, it grew from a battleship to an aviation battleship, and actually went on an expedition. Xianjai said, they are rustic and have old-fashioned ideas. After analyzing it carefully, it seems that Ryajo followed the Megama sisters, which is not surprising at all. Among the Japanese ship girls, there seem to be few reliable ones among this large group of people. Finally, Suzuya looked at Sugu and said in an angry voice, Admiral, it was not you who left alone, which is why the town hall has become like this. Without you around, the relationship between sisters has become much weaker. Sugu sighed, I had no choice before, but now I am working hard to make up for it. I have thought of many ways to find my own ship girl, and working hard to expand my influence is one of them. In addition, it is also possible to find out where there are wandering ship girls through inquiries and surveys, and then go to the destination to search for them, but it has never been very effective. I also thought about going to the Kanyang headquarters and learned about it from the company. Even the ship girl headquarters does not have files on every ship girl. Some ship girls are too casual. They work when they want to work and resign when they want to. Think about it, there is no network here, the ship girl headquarters is composed of various branches, and each branch cannot fully share information. It's crazy to make a trip to every branch and office in the world. However, the world is so big and the difficulty is really too great. There are too many people, like Lexington and Saratoga, whose jobs have nothing to do with ship girl headquarters. Like Fletcher, her work has nothing to do with the ship girl headquarters. Rather than spending energy searching for it bit by bit, it would be better to make the garrison famous. People who are still engaged in ship girl related work will always get the news. On the other hand, who would be willing to let the ship girl leave the garrison all the way to find a companion she is not very familiar with? Speaking of taking the initiative, I also went out to fight back, trying to find my sister, but there was no news. If you want to find everyone, there is no way to become a fat man in one bite. When this issue came up again, Lexington began to smooth things over, everyone will meet, and it has not yet happened that the ship girl and the admiral will be separated and never see each other again. Whether it is metaphysics, the gentle whisper from the sea will urge them. I hope everyone will meet again, and the admiral and the ship girl will not be separated forever. By making the reputation of the Toot Larry Mansion known, everyone will always know about the existence of the Toot Larry Mansion. The admiral and the ship girl have a fate and some kind of spiritual connection. This is something that everyone firmly believes? Of course, for scientists, this is metaphysics. Megama didn't understand the situation, so she poured herself tea. It's just that it's not so easy to increase the reputation of the town guard. The more aggressive the little girl became, the more Ruhi liked to tease her. She pressed Long Xiang's head, dodged punches and kicks, raised her head and said, we just suppressed Deep Sea Long Xiang recently. Sugu then spoke, yes, that's why Ruhi just said, Long Xiang, you are back again. Long Xiang pushed Ruhi's hand away fiercely. We are Long Xiang, not Deep Sea Dragon Xiang. Tianlong asked curiously, what's going on? After briefly explaining the process of suppressing the deep sea flagship, everyone was filled with emotion. Xianghe came here early, and many people came to see the excitement and then left. As if he suddenly woke up, Mikuma leaned on the sofa. By the way, I haven't seen Akagi in such a long time. Ruhi shrugged his shoulders. She either eats snacks in the cafe, or works as a taster in the kitchen, or she sits there with a cup of tea all day long. Well, by the way, wait until you see her, I hope, able to pronounce the word senior. What's wrong with her? You'll know after you see it. As a naval battle, now among the Japanese ship girls in the garrison, Akagi is really regarded as the eldest sister, and they are shouting to leave. After thinking about it, Sugu also decided to visit Sheik Hung. He just walked out of the office. Saratoga actually arrived at the office early. Without saying a word, the girl caught up with him. Seeing that everyone was gone, Saratoga walked in front and said in a faint voice, Missouri came first, and then came the 4 reinforcement sisters. Brother-in-law, you are blessed. The highest level, the support level, the 4 sisters support and lust are among the best in the garrison. However, Sugu had never practiced these 4 sisters in the game, so he did not take care of them after they were built, and they were only used in team missions. As much as the good impression should be, there is no welfare at all. In addition, even though they are full of lust, Sugu still knows one thing very well. No one is a casual girl without a ring, not even an admiral. Sugu explained, no luck, I don't feel it either. In terms of charm, she is no more superficial than them. Missouri is restrained, and she has the potential to become an actress. Her every frown and smile can captivate people's hearts. I don't know how much higher the level is. I have no feelings for her. The sister-in-law's voice was filled with resentment. 1 big vixen, 4 little vixens, a mother and 4 little girls looking around for no one. Saratoga imitated Missouri's voice again, cooing, girls come out quickly, the guests are coming, pick them up. Sugu looked at Saratoga. His sister-in-law had brilliant long golden hair, bright eyes, and white teeth. She was wearing a white gauze skirt. There was resentment, cunning, and a sweet smile on her face. She was very cute. Saratoga actually didn't have many friends in the governor's house. After all, except in front of herself, in front of Lexington, and in front of her good friend Bazai, except for a few people, she mostly treated most people with a cold face. It can't be said that he has a cold face, but he doesn't like to take the initiative to speak. If you ask her questions, she will answer you well, but don't expect her to initiate a conversation. To a certain extent, ignoring Lexington, he was really the girl's closest friend. Looking around, there was no one. Sugu listened to the girl's tone. He reached out and hugged Saratoga, whispering in a low voice, Gaga loves me the most. Feeling her body tense up, a small blush appeared on Saratoga's face. She didn't care anymore and whispered, pervert brother-in-law, let's have an affair behind my sister's back. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 518. The Megama sisters are all full of lust and support, and they like to tease the admiral. This is a fact that Sugu has known for a long time through past game conversations. They do have this character, both in games and in reality. They like to tease people. Fortunately, he learned this quickly. As juniors, they went to Akage to pay a visit to the eldest sister of Yu Hangzan, and Sugu also followed them. In the corridor, everyone was talking casually at first, just discussing past work issues. Megami put his hands behind his back, Mikuma and I sell books, and Suzutani is a salesperson and buys clothes in a large shopping mall. Suzutani showed off, I make the most money alone. Mikuma said disdainfully, how many people go to your place to buy clothes, specifically to buy clothes? I remember someone went to your place to buy a lot of clothes and gave a lot of gifts. They didn't want to ask you to have dinner together once, and they kept scolding you. You. Suzway spread his hands, I sell clothes, and he buys clothes. I don't suffer, and he doesn't suffer. I didn't make any promises to him. I didn't accept any of the gifts he gave. Well, actually, I have no choice, who I have an admiral. If I continue to be nice to others, I will definitely degenerate into a deep-sea ship girl. I don't want to become a monster. You make it sound like you have no choice, but you obviously don't want to. You have a powerful mouth but the purest heart. Just like that, the teasing words came out of his mouth. I both want to and dare to do it. Sugu cast a wink at Sugu. Although the wink was quite raw, it couldn't compare to Missouri's potential as an actor. The move of winking was natural, but this look also full of temptation. You are the admiral. If it is you, give me a gift and I can play with you. Suzway's words made people think wildly, but Sugu knew very well that things were not that simple. A moment later, he heard the relatively honest Kumino's voice, Admiral, as long as you give me a gift, Suzutani-san will play Ludo with you. Seeing that Sugu didn't speak, Suzway blinked again, with a blush on his face. Forget it if you don't want to part with gifts, then Admiral, there is a good benefit that does not require gifts. Do you want to touch Megama's sister? If it is you. It doesn't matter, Megamine will not refuse. Things will not be that simple, and Sugu will not believe that welfare really exists. Looking at his wedding ship, whoever speaks such words can only believe that Beizai can do what he says. Although she is usually lazy, she is the most honest girl and does not have so many tricks. If you say something like sisterhood, she will fulfill her promise if she agrees. So much so that after making a joke, you must remind yourself that these are jokes, for fear that they will be acted upon. The result was the same, there was no benefit. Megama said, I can touch my serial cannon for you. In the game, there is no way to fully express the character of each ship girl through a few sentences. We can only discover each person's character bit by bit in daily life. Obviously, apart from teasing, the Megama sisters also have other personalities. Everyone went to see Akage together. They were like meeting the eldest sister. Several sisters shouted Akage-senpai and Akage-san. It's completely unreliable to slander Akage, who clearly only steals lowly snacks. Everyone on the back foot looked respectful, and their faces changed so quickly that it was astonishing. In particular, they do all the things they do and warn people in advance that their slanderous words must not be spoken out. Of course, this slander is more like a joke, and even if it is said, Akage's character will not care. They didn't chat with Akage for long before they left. After all, Akage liked to be quiet, but they just couldn't stand it and couldn't talk at all. It would be nice to meet each other. Walk up the corridor again. Megama said, why has Akage become so young? Mikuma was confused. Even if you have grown up, you have never heard of such a thing as reverse growth. Kumino lowered his head subconsciously. I feel younger than everyone else, but my breasts have not shrunk. Suzway thought for a moment, what do you know? It's probably hidden. The bandages are tightly tied. You don't know how powerful it is until you take off your clothes. As the youngest sister, Kumino has always been educated. As they walked along, Sugu felt a little embarrassed, and had more impressions of the four sisters' personalities, which were difficult to deal with and gossipy. In fact, it was okay at noon. By night, he fully understood the power of these girls. During dinner time, Sugu sat with Beizai at first. He saw Beizai reading comics while eating, and unconsciously wanted to teach him a lesson. Beizai, pay attention to the occasion. Just comics. Even if it's a comic, if you read it every day, don't you think the impact is bad and the image is bad? How do I deal with the world that slanders me, bullies me, insults me, laughs at me, despises me, hates me, and deceives me? I just tolerate him, let him go, avoid him, tolerate him, respect him, ignore him, stay for a few more years and watch him. Sugyutin got angry and said, Baizai, I stay here all day. If you have time, go out for a walk. Baizai rarely nodded, people, you must go out more often, otherwise you won't know how good it is to stay at home. If this continues, what should I do? Baizai said confidently, you have to support me anyway. Sighing, Sugu gave up on Baizai. He wanted to play with Longxiang, but he saw the Megamas sisters and Ziwei together, and they were pointing fingers at him. He walked straight over and sat down next to him. With Ziwei here, you must be talking bad about me. I used to think that everyone was unfamiliar and I would pay more attention, but now I can easily sit next to someone without feeling awkward. Ruhi was unhappy, talk nonsense, I only say bad things about bad people. Sugu said, I see that you have been looking at me and whispering. It has been quite a while since I returned to the town hall, and I have understood many things. As a woman, and with a keen vision, Suzwaya said, let's talk casually, just about Helena. I didn't expect that, Admiral, you are married to Helena. You actually know how to marry a light cruiser. Didn't you never marry someone other than a battleship before, especially a powerful battleship? Otherwise, no matter how much you like her, you won't get married. When you get married, you get married. I don't just marry battleships. Suzwaya asked again, why? No reason. When Sugu opened his mouth, he only said a few words, and the girls did not stop chattering. Mikuma frowned, you used to harass Helena and poke her. I don't know why, but you must have given the ring to atone for your sins. Suzwaya dismissed it, I don't think it's atonement, it must be because of the amount of Helena's breasts. Men are just lustful. Kumino showed a surprised expression, speaking of which, I discovered that Akagi also has a ring, and the Admiral also married Akagi. When the topic changed, Suzwaya looked at Sugu, by the way, Admiral, Akagi is not very big, but it is tied up with bandages. Mikuma said, the Admiral definitely doesn't know. It wasn't like that before. He gave me the ring and never touched anyone. Sugu thought to himself, you were all game characters before, and you can't do anything in games. The most I can do is poke the screen with my fingers, but I can't be so perverted as to lick the screen with my tongue. It's a different dimension, and you can't take off your clothes, hey. However, before he could explain, Suzwaya retorted, it's not that we won't touch each other, but we are married. The main reason is to give everyone concern, and everyone will become stronger. Admiral, he actually only likes Lolita and only harasses young girls. Especially the archerfish that likes to harass Dopo. You get rings in the game, which can improve your favorability, and your favorability can also increase your strength. Before he could explain, Kumino's eyes were innocent, Admiral, if you marry Sister Akagi, will you marry Sister Kaga? Finally, Sugu was given a chance to speak, I don't know. Suzwaya nodded, I don't know. I didn't refuse. I must have an idea. Sugu had another chance to speak, compared to me, it mainly depends on her thoughts and Jiahe's thoughts. Suzwaya suddenly realized, the Admiral is the kind of person who refuses no one who comes and doesn't have any persistence. I didn't know that. Mikuma definitely nodded and said decisively, in this way, Sister Kaga will definitely get married. If Kaga gets married, Washington and Richelieu will fight back. What about them? Megama didn't stop at all, by the way, there's also Shoukekuzi Wikaku. When he found a few people staring at him, Ruhi suddenly felt a little panicked, don't gossip about me. The Megama sisters call Sister Shoukeku, but they cannot call Sister Ziwikaku. They are not afraid of Ziwikaku at all. Mikuma was decisive again. Ziwikaku definitely wants the ring too, I promise. Ziwihi quickly explained, what guarantee does Mikuma have? Who are you? No, I don't have it. I'm not interested in the ring. Megami was curious, Admiral, if you and Ziwikaku get married, who will you choose to be the bridesmaid? Kumino was equally curious, Rukaku, when you get married, should we give you a red envelope? Shut up. Ruhi slapped the table, and she started to show off her power, but it was of no use. Mikuma looked at Ziwihi and said, if you two get married, Ziwihi, will you wear a wedding dress or a white one? Suzuya quickly responded, Admiral, when are you going to give Ziwikaku a ring? A diamond ring, or a ring like the one on Helena's hand. By the way, I see there is no diamond on the ring on Helena's hand. Is it her? It's a light cruiser, so the ring needs to be smaller. Kumino snickered, speaking of which, Admiral, you have so many wedding ships, will there be a Shura field? Mikuma leaned closer to Sugu, do you usually go to their room, or do they go to your room? Suzuya knew best, there are so many wedding ships, Admiral, can your body bear it? You are just an ordinary person. Kumino looked around the cafeteria, I quietly asked, Admiral, who do you like best? Suzuya laughed, I definitely like Lexington. Who do you like in bed? Megami thought for a moment, tapped his fingers in the air, and remembered the scene just now, it must be Bazai, she has flesh, and only young people like bamboo poles. Suzutani retorted, I think so too. Young people like bamboo pole figures. But I think the Prince of Wales has a better figure. He has big breasts and a big butt, which makes people like him, speaking of which, Helena is not bad either. Mikuma looked at Sugu with narrowed eyes and said in a dangerous voice, Admiral, do you like to raise Lolita? Do you want to raise Zayazai first or Sigsbai? Kumino said, Admiral, you owe Ayanamaya the ring, you can't let it go. Not counting Ziwihi, she is also a victim. 2 women equal 1,000 ducks, and there are 2,000 ducks here. During this dinner, Sugu looked at Ruhi, and Ruhi looked at him. The two of them nodded in perfect agreement. A bunch of gossips, you are going to heaven. I finally have a final impression of the Megami sisters' characters. Such characters are really troublesome. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 519. The Tutelari mansion has an altitude that is neither too high nor too low. There is a high slope to the pier, and there is a long staircase connecting the Tutelari mansion and the pier. It used to be relatively simple. After reconstruction, all the cracks on the steps were smoothed with cement, iron handrails were added on both sides, and most importantly, a knot-wide slide was added on one side. Thatcher, don't stop on the slide. Ignore her, just slide down and knock her away. It's blocked again, he sighed. Destroyers are the happiest beings in the garrison. They have few tasks and are often extremely naughty. They like to cause trouble the most. The long slide is destroyers' favorite entertainment facility, but there are always destroyers causing trouble and stopping halfway down the slide. Take Thatcher, for example. Compared with her sister, she seemed much stupider. Thatcher blocked the road, and someone shouted, I'm not going to play on the slide anymore, I'm going to play on the seesaw. I'm going to play on the swing too. Some people took the lead in shouting and left, and many people ran away. When Thatcher saw her sisters and friends running away, she also got up from the slide. U-47, which was blocked by her at first, slid directly to the dock and ran away with it. By this time, all the little Lolita had run away, leaving only one little girl. The little girl was sitting on the steps, looking a little independent and not following a bunch of little Lolita fooling around. This flight maneuver is not standardized enough. She was muttering in her mouth, but she didn't leave. In fact, she was looking at the carrier-based aircraft that were constantly circling in the sky. There were no enemies, and the carrier-based aircraft were performing various flight movements in sequence. It was obvious who was practicing the carrier-based aircraft's control capabilities. As a ship girl, the little girl is only as high as a person's navel. Those who know better can tell at a glance that this is a destroyer. After all, ship girls of different ship types often have different appearances. For battleships, battle cruisers, and aircraft carriers, most of them are mature and tall beauties. Then, the light cruisers, heavy cruisers, and light cruisers are often high school students. Of course, the little girls and little Lolita are destroyers and submarines. Said those who have never seen it before. Those who know more can tell from the focused eyes of the little girl that the little girl is watching very carefully. She is not looking at the fun as an outsider, but looking at the door from the inside. Thinking about it again, with a round face and a head like a tomato, this must be the rare light aircraft carrier Ryusei. This flying action is not bad. It can make it easier to get rid of the chasing fighter jets. Oh, do you want to perform dive bombing moves? Long Xiang saw the carrier-based aircraft hovering in the sky again, diving towards the sea from the highest point, not far from the sea, and began to pull up. She stood up and wanted to applaud. Very handsome. Applause just started, but the carrier-based aircraft seemed to have had an accident, and the pull-up action was in place. However, the performance of the carrier-based aircraft was not good enough, so it did not pull up and crashed directly into the sea, causing a small splash. I don't even understand the character of the carrier-based aircraft. It's too bad. I need to whip the whip and slap the palms of my hands. We need to teach people a lesson. Muttering in her mouth, Long Xiang stood up, and then thinking about the unknown person, she sat down again, her expression looking a little aggrieved. Long Xiang was angry. In fact, York City, who was standing by the dock practicing carrier-based aircraft, looked even more angry. The little girl on the steps is said to be the Admiral's former ship girl. I don't know who it is, probably a destroyer. It should be the destroyer. When I saw the Admiral and her having fun at night, the person who could make the Admiral look happy must be the destroyer, especially because he looked very familiar with Xiao Xiang Leiden. I ran to the steps with the destroyer early to play. While playing, all my playmates left, except for one person who stayed. If you stay, just stay. He clenched his fists to cheer, shook his head and sighed, making himself more excited than himself. As a destroyer, can you understand carrier-based aircraft? You know dive bombing, you know spiraling? I kept pointing and pointing around, causing my mother to be distracted all the time. I accidentally caused the carrier-based aircraft to crash into the sea and lost one carrier-based aircraft. Where can I find aluminum to replenish it? If you ask the Admiral, you will definitely be laughed at. If you date someone, your skills are really bad. Leipzig is another grandette, and if you ask her for some aluminum, it will cost her her life. Hee, she also knows how to bully honest people. When the Prince of Wales asks her what she wants, he will never refuse. Alas, luckily it wasn't a B-25, a -2 or a hero aircraft. I just used an ordinary whiteboard computer to practice. It didn't cost much to supplement the resources. At worst, I would be called big-hearted and brainless. While thinking about it, she looked at the girl in the distance, babbling and not knowing what to say, shaking her head and gesticulating. York City finally couldn't stand it anymore. She walked in front of Long Xiang and brushed her bangs to make her movements look handsome. Who are you? Long Xiang saw it and walked up to him. A terrible woman with short blonde hair and poor skills in operating carrier-based aircraft said loudly, "Who are you asking us? Who are you talking about?" What a stinky little girl with a lecturing tone, York City thought to herself. She is not a person with a gentle personality like Xianghe and Lexington. As soon as she wakes up, she gives the most important person in the rest of her life and gives her admiral a whipping kick. She doesn't have much regret. She is not easy to talk. York City's evil appearance, destroyer, don't watch around here. Be careful that the carrier-based aircraft accidentally loses control and drops a bomb that explodes on your head. York City's intimidation was of no use to the destroyers headed by Lafayette, but it was able to scare away many destroyers. Lan, in particular, had a more fierce expression. His face suddenly turned pale, his mouth was wide open, showing exaggerated facial expressions, and he kept saying, "Don't kill me, don't kill me, I'm a good person, don't let the carrier-based aircraft follow you." I'm so panicked, as if something was going to happen to her. In addition to Lan, the damage to Cushing is not low. York City is confident in its destroyer intimidation capabilities. Being treated as a destroyer is something Long Xiang has always been unhappy about. She was angry. We are not a destroyer, we are the light aircraft carrier Long Xiang." The little girl stood up. York City thought, no wonder she looked so familiar, like the deep-sea dragon boat that was suppressed some time ago. Even so, there was not much good looks on his face. York City said, "What are you doing here? Who are you to say that your carrier-based aircraft control skills are very, very bad?" Long Xiang was so powerful that he frightened York City for a while. In fact, along the way from York City, we encountered too many things like pretending to be pigs and eating tigers. In the town hall, there is no worse person except Bumblebee, but Bumblebee is the younger sister, and it is natural that the elder sister is better than the younger sister. Especially my younger sister, who is not ambitious yet, is already very happy just holding the bomber B-25 every day. York City's voice was quite weak. "You say that my carrier-based aircraft are terrible. How many times have you sorted?" With his little head tilted, he recalled his experience when he came to the governor's mansion, when the admiral left the governor's mansion, and later when he was in elementary school. Long Xiang thrust his hand into his waist and said, "No, I didn't say it even once." The momentum was still very fierce, and York City hesitated again. Many people like the small house and the garrison had never attacked before, but they were super strong. How many times have you practiced?" "No, we didn't participate in a single drill." "Then you have a hero machine," York City said decisively. Only in this way could he dare to be so fierce towards him, otherwise why would he? Long Xiang had a straight face and was unhappy with someone. "We also want a powerful heroic carrier-based aircraft, but the admiral won't give it to us." "Then what do you have?" "Zero battle type 21, type 97 ship attack." From the beginning to the end, the little girl showed no timidity at all, as if she was the only one in the world. However, without training and excellent carrier-based aircraft, you still see yourself shaking your head and pointing. Why? I was even scared and greatly embarrassed. The corners of York City's eyes twitched, and her voice was unhappy. She also wanted to bully the small ones, so she waved her hands in a disgraceful manner. "Let's go, little dwarf." Long Xiang was even more unhappy. "Do you owe repairs? Actually, you dare to say that we are dwarfs, you bastard." York City is also an unscrupulous person. Of course, if the little girl cries, she will comfort her well, give many gifts and pay a lot of price. However, the naughty kid with a shitty expression is the most troublesome. Short, runt. "We're going to teach you a lesson." Long Xiang became angry and showed off his ship's uniform. York City stretched out a hand in front of her mouth and tilted her head slightly, making people want to hit someone. Her voice was not soft. "Little tomato. We want to practice with you." For a long time, York City laughed with arms akimbo, like a villain. Finally, the story unfolded normally. "I have been tortured for 10,000 years, and you dare to challenge me. You are asking for your own death." "Sorry. Sugu was talking to Missouri when he saw Long Xiang, who was unhappy and kicking pebbles on the roadside as he walked. Missouri leaned against the magnolia tree and crossed her arms. Su, other than making lowly North Carolina cry, is there any way to wake up Sister North Carolina? I didn't even know that crying lowly North Carolina could wake up Royal Sister North Carolina, but you actually knew that. You are a weakling and don't pay attention to everyone. I'm not a weakling. I will never make North Carolina cry. My responsibility is to make everyone happy. Missouri panicked. Ah. I just pinched her face and lifted her up, and she cried. I believe it, I believe it. Missouri smiled and left. Sugu didn't bother to care about her. Seeing Long Xiang depressed made people even more worried. Whoever is so cruel and makes her cry is always a young girl full of energy. He walked to Long Xiang and touched his head. Long Xiang, what's wrong with you? We actually lost. From Long Xiang's unhappy description, Sugu understood the story. Think about the Ryukyu. In history, the Ryukyu was built relatively early, so it can be considered a predecessor among aircraft carriers. However, she is so small that no one regards her as a senior. The player holding a pointer in the game seems to be a little girl who likes to teach people. Think about York City again, practicing carrier-based aircraft, and there are people shaking their heads and pointing. It's understandable that I'm unhappy. Of course, understanding is understanding, and it does not hinder the accusation of York City's bad behavior, which actually made the lovely Long Xiang cry. However, the Ryukyu light aircraft carrier is not a perverted light aircraft carrier like the Flying Eagle or the Falcon. It is still difficult to defeat York City in the Long Xiang exercise. In addition to loading all the hero aircraft on Long Xiang, they also need to unload York City's carrier-based aircraft, so that they can have the power to fight. After all, York City is also her own ship girl, so doing this is going too far. The little girl still wanted to be comforted, and Sugu slandered, York City is menopausal, and you are still a flower, so ignore her. So angry. Following Long Xiang's tone, Sugu said, don't be angry, I'll take you to eat delicious food. We want to eat Odin. I dote on the little girl, but cooking Odin is too troublesome, and it's not dinner time. However, if the little girl has needs, it is not impossible to consider them. There are still a lot of ingredients in the governor's mansion, such as fish balls, tribute balls, potatoes, squid, eggs, kelp and the like. After hesitating for a long time, worried about being laughed at by Lolita again, Sugu pulled Long Xiang's hand. I'd better take you to eat snacks and cakes. Along the way, Sugu chatted, Long Xiang, do you know why apples fall from the tree? It's cooked. Then why didn't it fly to the sky but fall to the ground? Of course the apple will fall to the ground and will not fly into the sky. Ha, didn't you know? It will fall to the ground because of gravity. If you don't know, tell me. There was no shame on Long Xiang's face for not being knowledgeable, nor was there any curiosity. It was all taken for granted, which was a bit irritating. Soon after, I took Long Xiang to the coffee shop, where there were many people. Ziwihi was inside, with a Monopoly board in front of her desk. Ziwihi's opponents are Princeton, Nevada, Northampton, and the Hornets. The Monopoly chessboard was handmade by Sugu. In order to enrich everyone's life in the garrison, of course we have to think of a lot of entertainment. This is the only thing we can do. Hearing the sound of pushing the door, Ruhi immediately spotted Sugu and Long Xiang. Ruhi laughed and said, here comes the beaten Long Xiang. Green-haired crane Long Xiang immediately retorted. Surprised, Sugu didn't know where Long Xiang got this knowledge. I also think about myself when I was in elementary school, and I knew a lot of vulgar words at a very young age, so I basically understood a lot of things. Although he said rude words, when he grew up, he stopped saying them. It had not been long since she arrived at the Toot Larry mansion, and Ruhi had already understood the meaning of green-haired crane, and she was grinding her teeth. Long Xiang, where is your chopping board? No chopping board. Ignoring the two of them, Sugu walked to the counter. Santiago, who was wearing a maid uniform, smiled sweetly. Admiral, what do you want? Long Xiang, what do you want? Casual. Mango mousse, and this, tiramisu, and coffee milk. Looking back, Sugu saw Long Xiang staring at the table with focused eyes. He does know that Long Xiang can play Monopoly. After all, Xiao Zai gave her a warm welcome when she came back. In addition, just to show off, I took her to look at my many toys and cards. The room is full of toys. The snacks hadn't been served yet, but Long Xiang stood beside Ruhi and kept saying, "Idiot, it's your turn to throw the dice. Buy it, build a house and collect tolls. Elmhead, we told you, buy a house, buy a house. Let's see what cards you have. Hurry up and use the jail card to put Bumblebee in jail. Change big money into small money. Let's play, we've already won. Forget it, I'll ignore you. Preston, the bunny ears on your head are so beautiful. Don't be wary of us, we just want to touch your rabbit ears and tail, the tail, hee, it's fluffy. Nevada, you're out of luck. Bumblebee, you are going to lose. You have no money anymore. Sell the house quickly. Haha, you will suffer the consequences. Let's look at you, Ruhi. You're not good at it, but you're pretty lucky. Stop being stupid, take your chess pieces and move quickly. Ha, what are you looking at? I won't let you eat the cake that the Admiral gave us. Hey, Ziwihi, we know you like to eat the Admiral's saliva. Finally, with a slam of the card in his hand, Ziwihi stood up. She reached out and grabbed Long Xiang's arm and threw him on the booth sofa. He raised his hand and slapped Long Xiang hard on the butt. Nevada, Princeton, and Bumblebee also stood up, and they patted Long Xiang's butt one by one. Ziwihi was the most malicious. Hey, little bunny pattern. Being pushed on the booth sofa and spanked, Long Xiang was full of humiliation. One day, we want to defeat you. Long Xiang was full of grievances, and Sugu thought to himself, you little girl, you are always jumping around and pointing, but you still have a straight face. If it were me, I would want to hit someone. It would not be unfair to teach York City a lesson. It is completely asking for trouble. Ruhi finally let go of Long Xiang, who sobbed softly. Sugu touched Long Xiang's head. His round face was still very cute, and he hugged the little girl. No matter how different the personality is, as long as the little girl or little loli is cute, it is enough. However, Long Xiang wasn't done yet. She sniffed and said, Admiral, there is a zipper on your pants, let's unzip them. Hearing the sound, Sugu immediately let go of Long Xiang and looked down at his pants. Fortunately, Long Xiang didn't make a move. Even so, when I looked around, I found that everyone was staring at me. Admiral, you just looked at Bumblebee's skirt. Her panties were exposed. Bumblebee pulled away and looked back, inspecting the dress. Sugu put his hand on his forehead. I didn't look. You started talking to a big sister and kept looking at the person's chest. I did not see. Oh, then we remembered it wrong. Admiral, you. Long Xiang, you really need to be dealt with. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 520. To say that the garrison is large, there are not many buildings. They are nothing more than warehouses, complex buildings, dormitories, plus some scattered small buildings. Speaking of small, There are several dormitory buildings, which are more than enough to accommodate 100 people, and the corresponding entertainment, leisure, and exercise facilities can also be accommodated. It's just a little crowded. Next to the basketball court is a volleyball court, which is a table tennis table, and not far away is the power distribution room. When I first fell in love with this place, in addition to the geographical and cultural environment, there are no poor mountains, bad water, or unruly people. It is said that there are few businessmen and corrupt officials who are unkind to get rich, and it is close to Sichuan Show. On the other hand, it's also because the town government's greening is well done. There are tall magnolia trees, and their dense canopies block a lot of sunlight. There are lush dwarf shrubs, which are pruned by counterattack leaders into various shapes, including circles and squares. There are also roses climbing all over the wall, making the wall look less cold. On a sunny noon, Sugu sat by the flowerbed under the magnolia tree. Not far from him, Xiao Zai was sneaking and bending beside the railing. Next to the small house, there was also Lafite, who was also bent over. Unlike Xiao Zai, Lafite holds a bat. They seemed to be hiding from someone. After they walked a few steps, they noticed Sugu sitting next to him. Xiao Zai put a finger to his lips, shushing, reminding him not to make any sound. Curious about the little loli's movements, Sugu asked in a low voice, "What are they doing?" Helena was sitting next to him not long ago and was rubbing her temples with her hands. Didn't they participate in the suppression of the deep-sea ship girls? It just so happened that Long Xiang was back now. They were playing games. Long Xiang was the deep-sea dragon Xiang. They playing the role of the garrison. In fact, it's just a game of hide and seek, with Long Xiang pretending to be a ghost. Helena has been responsible for the management of destroyers and knows a lot about destroyers. Although the small house is a battleship, because it is also a little lowly, it is still under her management. Although Helena was on the battlefield and was not Xiao Zai's enemy, Xiao Zai dared to talk back to her at most, but he didn't dare to make a move. It's understandable that I'm hiding, but what is Lafite doing with the bat? I don't know. Helena shook her head. Ignoring Xiaozai's actions of booing and their hide and seek, Sugu shouted, "Lafite! Come here!" He waved Lafite over, and Lafite hesitated for a moment, then walked to him. Raffi was wearing a hoodie with a cartoon pattern on the chest, and all the sleeves were rolled up. It seems that the whole thing has to be exposed with all the anchor patterns on the arms. She can be said to be a girl, but she is also just a primary school student. Compared to humans, primary school students may know a lot more and can do housework, but these destroyers are carefree and have only skin left behind, naughty and solid. You play games, you hide and seek. What are you doing with a bat? Nothing to do. After hearing Sugu's words, Lafite took the bat and put his hands behind his back, pretending that it was nothing and lying to himself. Sugu warned, "I told you first, you can't hit people with a bat. A ship girl won't get hurt easily, and the games she occasionally plays are beyond the standard compared to ordinary little girls." Lafite pouted, "If you don't need it, don't use it. I'm the best Lafite even if I don't use the bat. You can't point to Tiger either." "Okay." Lafite's voice was very long, "Can I go?" "Then let's go." Seeing Lafite walking away, Sugu paused. "These naughty kids, forgot to ask, why do you use bats in hide and seek?" Helena smiled, "They won't really hit people, they just look good when they are picked up, probably, maybe. So, the ship girl still has to stay in the guardhouse and be with ordinary people. She is really out of place." Suddenly something came to mind, and Sugu sighed, "Lafite." Seeing Sugu's sudden sad expression, Helena asked thoughtfully, "What are you thinking about again? Everyone is staying in the guardhouse, no one is unhappy." Looking up at the dense canopy of trees, a little bit of sunlight shines through the gaps between the trees, and the beams of light give people a feeling of being in another world. Sugu waved his hand, I'm not worried about that. I worked very hard. Being sad is denying my credit. I just suddenly thought of, well, I remembered when I found you and Lafayette was still by my side all day long. The Admiral is long and the Admiral is short. I just called her twice, and she looked impatient. Who asked you to rub people's hair all day long, let alone when they are playing hide and seek looking at Lafayette's running back? Helena laughed. Everyone clings to you all day long, asking you to hug you, and asking you to tell stories. You are annoyed? You are no longer clingy, you are sighing again, you have friends, and you have forgotten the Admiral. My Admiral, my commander, there are many destroyers in the garrison, clinging to you every day. You should stop doing things, really, only the Admiral and the little it's hard to raise people. Zai and Lafayette walked away, and there was no one around. Sugu stretched out an arm around Helena's slender waist, pulled Helena closer to him, and said, "Yes, I am the most troublesome and difficult to raise." Helena had no objection to the close gesture and was still looking forward to it. However, she suddenly heard Sugu's laughter. Nowadays, being close or not is a very casual matter, and there is no need for any special development. Sugu's hands had already left Helena's waist, and he whispered, "Helena, you have big breasts and a big butt, and you have a good figure. I just touched your waist. In comparison, your waist is very big. 11, I wonder if your waist will flash when you walk." Helena's long blue hair was tied up and fixed with a tassel hairpin, which was a piece of jewelry she bought a long time ago. She stretched out her hand and plucked the thin tassels of her hairpin. The tassels inlaid with small pieces of jade were shaking. The corners of her eyes twitched a few times and she bared her teeth. "Admiral, just say it, I won't be angry." "Yes, you can't get angry so casually. In other words, 1,000 pounds of friendship is not worth as much as 4 ounces on your chest. You must have more than 4 ounces on your chest." Helena raised her hand and slapped Sugu on the shoulder. "Admiral, you are acting like a gangster. You are my wedding ship, why are you trying to be a hooligan?" Helena recalled the past and sighed again. "I also remembered that when we met, you looked shy at that time. I told you that you got better in the future, but in a short period of time you showed yourself to be the same rogue and pervert. It's always been like this." Saying this, Sugu didn't make any more moves. There was silence for a moment. He put his hands on the back of his head and said casually, "You used to work at the ship girl headquarters. Last time I went there, the company even talked about you to me. She said I took away her capable subordinates." Helena was wearing jeans and stretched her legs straight. "You not only took away her capable subordinates, you also took away her good friends." Sugu laughed. "Missouri was introduced to me by the company, and she agreed. Well, by the way, have you met Missouri before?" "I think I met her once, but I didn't speak to her. I didn't know who she was at that time. Actually, I didn't expect that I would be able to get her. Thanks to everyone, especially Lexington. You can have some fun in your heart." Seeing Long Xiang running over, looking for someone, and then running away in a hurry, Sugu suddenly said, "Helena, tell me, is the company slacking off and not publicizing the affairs of our townhouse?" The Magama sisters and Ryajo, not counting them, were the ship girls who came back after learning about the sinking of the deep-sea flagship. They only came back because of the relationship between Tianlong and Long Tian. The news about the deep-sea flagship has been spreading for a long time, but no one has come back yet, which makes people worried about the effect. "It will definitely be publicized." Of course Helena could hear it, Sugu just said it casually. Even if she can't tell, she still has a good impression of the company and believes in the company. The company still has a lot of personality charm. Sugu spread his hands and said, "It's been so many days. Except for visits from admirals, businessmen, and officials from time to time, no one has come back. To borrow the words of the Prince of Wales, Things are always so incredible and unpredictable. Thinking of what happened these days, Helena continued, by the way, you kicked someone out yesterday. The governor's mansion was far away from the city and could encounter a lot of troubles. Sugu's voice was calm. Most people are still very good, but there are always some fools who think they are great. The things requested are difficult and the rewards are not high, so there is no way to achieve recognition. He still hasn't left after seeing off the guests in a friendly manner. He keeps talking loudly, thinking that our garrison is a vegetable market, haggling over prices, and especially staring at you leeringly. I can only ask Bismarck to send him out, with violence. In reality, there is no expedition like in the game, where a large amount of resources can be obtained in just a few hours. Let's not compare the game with reality, just compare it with other expeditions. If you change it to a game, it would be an expedition that lasts for more than 24 hours, with no blueprint rewards and only 100 resource rewards. It's not stupid to run such an expedition. If such an expedition appears in the game, the operation will be beaten to death. In reality, there are all kinds of self-righteous weirdos. Think about it, I have encountered some companies in the past that did not have weekends, no 5 insurances and 1 housing fund, and the salary was lower than the average. Why? Maybe we can still recruit people, after all, the country has a lot of people. Here, however, the admiral takes the lead. After saying that, Sugu felt unhappy and randomly picked up a branch and broke it off. Don't talk about it anymore, troublesome. The matter is over, it doesn't matter anymore. Helena tilted her head and looked at Sugu. Don't talk about it, I want to ask, Admiral, did you violently send off the guest because you couldn't reach an agreement, the person kept pestering you, or because you were lustful? Looking at us. It's both. No, it's more annoying to look at you lewdly. Helena chuckled lightly and bumped Sugu lightly with her shoulder. Are you jealous? Jealous? Feeling Helena's little girl-like movements, Sugu smiled again. Helena, I always thought you were mature and generous, but you are indeed a light cruiser at heart. Helena showed a charming expression, holding her chest with both hands, and her chest became more and more generous. I am not a little girl. I eat people without spitting out bones. Yes, just smile and your bones will soften. No need to spit them out. Helena's smile grew brighter and she whispered, Admiral, guess, is the person standing behind you Lexington or Saratoga? As I thought to myself, I knew that Helena, you smile so charmingly, there must be something bad going on. Having made a plan in his mind and organizing his words in a moment, Su looked back, but there was no one there. Then, he suddenly felt Helena hugging him from behind. Even though you are such a pervert, I still like you. I really want to sit with you like this all the time. Not long after, Helena left with messy clothes and messy hair. Sugu was still sitting there, dreaming of being beside him, and the two of them stared at each other. What were the Admiral and Sister Helena doing just now? Why did Sister Helena leave? We are discussing issues and thinking about issues. Oh, I'm leaving too, so I won't disturb the Admiral. The fantasy was gone. This time, Sugu was really thinking about the problem seriously. How long will it take to publicize it before everyone in the townhouse knows about it? I still want to find everyone in one breath and live happily. However, the reality is not so satisfactory after all. Now, in more than a year, only half of the ship girls have been found. By the way, I don't know if the word talent is appropriate. After all, there is no one or anything to compare with, and the world is too big. He was worried about publicity, but in the past few days, he could immediately confirm that the publicity effect was quite good. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De Rong Yan. Chapter 521. This was a few days after being intimate with Helena, and Sugu was standing by the dock. He was looking into the distance when he suddenly heard an energetic and childish voice. "Admiral, hold me and throw me far away." Lowering his head, Sugu immediately saw a wet U-47 wearing dead stock water. The young girl stood on the stone slab of the pier with bare feet and raised her hands. "The weather has become cold, and no one will go swimming anymore, otherwise it will not be enjoyment but torture. Of course, if you really want to say it, the garrison in the south does not actually have winter in the strict sense. Even in winter, it's often not too cold. The water is not cold, but no one likes to go into the water in this weather. The only exception is the submarine. When I first found them, it was a very cold day, and they were still playing in the water. In addition, in their words, they like the feeling of being surrounded by sea water, which makes people feel very comfortable and at ease, just like being by the admiral's side." Whenever they mentioned this matter, Sugu would say something like, "The admiral is by your side, playing with you in the water, and you will have twice the happiness." Often he would be treated violently immediately by U-47, who would stretch out his hands to grab both of his cheeks while he was squatting on the ground, and tear them apart like a big pie. Among several submarines, she is the only one who dares to do such a thing, and she is the most energetic. He put his hands through U-47's armpits and lifted the little girl up. He looked at the sea surface, where U-505's head emerged. She was still wearing dead water, but she was wearing big diving goggles. Target, U-505, depth charge. The little submarine, the little girl, not very heavy, could easily throw the U-47 out. U-47 screamed in the air and hit U-505, but U-505 suddenly fell into the water and only made a big splash. No one was hit. U-47 sank into the water, then floated up again, motionless, like a floating corpse. When this happens, people are usually worried. Sugu had been deceived before, until he swam to U-47, and U-47 immediately dived into the water and held his feet. After teasing for a while, he got out of the water and kept saying, "The admiral is really stupid. If something happens to us, if we sink, we will only sink into the sea." Having been an admiral for a long time and being a smart man, Sugu opened his mouth and said, "Of course I know about this kind of thing, but seeing your look like that, my mind goes blank. Even if there is a slight possibility, I don't want anything to happen to you." As soon as these words came out, he immediately turned defeat into victory and received a big hug and tearful eyes from U-47. Not to say too much, if there is real data, the favorability will be increased by at least 10. Ignoring U-47, Sugu shouted, "You can't fool me, U-505, go slap U-47 on the butt. This is the admiral's order." U-505 showed his little head in the sea. When he heard Sugu's words, he raised his hands in salute and said with a smile, "Yes." Saying this, U-505 swam towards U-47. Of course U-47 also heard it. She stood up as soon as she turned over and shouted loudly, "Asshole admiral, I don't care about people at all. Don't come to me in the future. I will help you get U-96 and U-156, U-505, I am the leader of the wolf pack, I am the wolf pack hero, you are the admiral's lackey." Suddenly, U-47 and U-505 started fighting in the sea. Looking down at her side again, Thatcher, whose blonde hair was tied into twin tails, stood on tiptoes, raising her hands high with excitement on her face. Me, me, Admiral, throw me away quickly. You little fool, you are well dressed and you are not a submarine. Why are you joining in the fun?" While thinking about it, he looked at Sigsby, who was sitting next to him on top of the container, and said, "Sigsby, take your sister away." With icy blue hair and a beautiful lace headband, Sigsby kicked her legs and her gauze skirt swayed. If she were an adult, she would look like a fairy in a fairy tale. However, she is a scheming little lowly and an irresponsible sister. She sighed, and now she began to imitate Missouri and lifted her hair. "That's your ship, girl, you can do what you want. Resolutely ignoring Thatcher, who kept shouting that he wanted to play, Sugu walked towards U-81, who was sitting on the cable pile tied with circles of hemp rope. The young trader girl U-81 is holding one of her wolf cubs, while the other two wolf cubs are circling the cable pile. Seeing the admiral walking towards him, U-81 looked shy. She was shy, but she didn't shake her head, her big eyes full of expectation. Sugu lifted U-81 up again, looked at the sea again, and saw U-47 knocking down U-505. After all, U-47 has been transformed, and she is usually energetic, solid, and powerful. U-505, who has an ordinary personality, is really no match for her. She was so triumphant that she didn't notice the shadow appearing above her head. There was another big splash, and U-47 emerged from the sea. It's very dangerous. Well, I want to play again, U-505, you can't avoid it. In fact, there is no danger at all. U-505 became angry. It's none of my business, it was U-81 just now. U-47 climbed up the pier from the side steps deep into the sea. As he walked, he said, I prefer, Admiral, hurry up, target U-505. He threw U-47 towards U-505, and soon after he raised U-505 again and threw it towards U-47. Playing with submarines is the happiest thing. However, happiness will eventually come to an end. U-47 grabbed Sugu's trouser legs with a pair of small hands and said in an anxious voice, Admiral, hurry up, hurry up. No more playing, I'm tired. Holding a young girl and throwing her into the sea, it was fine for a while, but if you played too much, your arms would get sore. Although now that I am training with Bismarck, I have grown a lot personally and my body has become stronger. After all, she is not a ship girl. As long as she wants to, as long as she has the resources, her energy is almost unlimited. However, a young girl doesn't care whether you are tired or not. U-47 was discouraged, it's so bad. Sugu retorted, can't you be quieter like U-81 and Sukufu? U-81 only played once, and all three of her wolves jumped into the sea. She just played with her three wolves while looking at U-47 and U-505 with envy. She was shy. Surkuf, on the other hand, as a gun diver, also likes to swim in the sea. Compared to a young girl like Submarine, she should be said to be a girl. She is even more powerful than a girl, a big trader. She was just swimming slowly in the sea, holding her inflatable dolphin in one hand and the inflatable B-25 in the other. Talking about the inflatable B-25, it was actually U-47 who asked Bumblebee to borrow it without any courtesy. He borrowed it, but refused to play with it and gave it to Surkuf. Seeing that his admiral was unwilling to move, U-47 shook his head and said, it's better to play with that. That? Which one? Throw the ball. It has to be said that submarines are as nimble in the water as any fish. Taking a big rubber ball and throwing it to the sea, these submarines were able to do it. Like fish, they emerged from the water with a swoosh, and then put their heads on the ball. It felt like a performance at an aquarium. Sugu was like a staff member throwing a ball, and they were like dolphins. It's just that it's not a dolphin after all. It's okay to push it. If you want to push the ball above your head, you can't do it at all. As for the ball, it was light and delicate, which didn't matter. So looked around and saw that the ball was being held by a black-backed jackal. The black-backed jackal, who had a personality like a puppy, liked the ball. He wanted to get up, but saw U-47 shaking his head, not that, playing that game that day, well, you throw egg tarts to us. Narrowing his eyes, Sugu remembered that not long ago, he was looking for a submarine with a box of egg tarts. I stood by the pier looking for them, but didn't see anyone, so I started eating by myself. Several small subs finally appeared, shouting things like "I want to eat too" and "throw it over." To be honest, he was reluctant at first. It was not that easy to catch. It was too easy to waste food. I couldn't help but kept talking, and finally threw one out. I have to say that these submarines are really sharp. As long as they are not thrown too far away, they can definitely catch them. Fish feeding game? Although he liked it very much, Sugu still hesitated. If you want to play, I have no objection. It's just one box. If you can't catch it, you won't get any snacks. U-47 was very confident. She nodded and warned, you have to throw accurately, otherwise it won't count. Sugu shouted, Xianxiang, come here, you run fast, ask your Santiago sister for a box of egg tarts, and then ask your Raider sister for a bag of chocolate beans. By the way, you also want to eat, get more some. Seeing that Kong Xiang nodded repeatedly, he would not get rejected if he approached her about running away. Anyway, if he liked her, he would run over. I was thinking that chocolate beans are plentiful and cheap, so I can play with them without worry, and then an idea suddenly occurred to me. Before Xianxiang had taken 2 steps, Sugu snickered and whispered, Su Xian, ask your London sister for a bag of biscuits again. Xianxiang ran away, and ran over soon after, handing over a bag of things. Sir Kauf did not participate. U-81 was shy and finally participated. However, the main players were U-47 and U-505. Sugu shouted, I'm going to start throwing. Egg tarts first, U-47. U-505, it's your turn, catch it properly. U-81, do you really want to play? If you can't catch it, you won't get to eat, okay, be careful. Now for the chocolate beans. U-47 took the flattened egg tart and put it into his mouth. Admiral, there are 8 egg tarts in a box. You only threw away 6. Where are the 2 left? Sugu's face was not red, his heart was not beating. There are 2 more, you can't divide them, so I will eat them. Big bastard. Sugu-han didn't care, I just ate it, what do you do to me? Now you throw the chocolate beans, do you want to have fun? This one is too small. It needs to be closer. Okay, that's it, I'll throw it away. As he said this, Sugu waved his hand. U-47 raised their hands high and caught it again. They were extremely powerful. Of course, it also had something to do with the fact that they couldn't throw it very far. No, these are not chocolate beans. U-47 looked at the thing in his hand and frowned. I probably picked it up by mistake. I kept eating the biscuits and it went smoothly. Anyway, the biscuits are the same, so you can eat them. This afternoon, U-47 sat on the edge of the dock with Sugu. I will never help you pick up treasures again. Submarines are only allowed to play in the nearby sea. Even so, they will occasionally pick up some things from the sea, such as some coins, shells, or strange metals. If you want to eat crabs, I won't help you catch them. They can also catch a lot of crabs from the sea, and extra meals really depend on their efforts. They will even fish out some colorful and strange fish that no one recognizes. Of course, these fish will be released in the end. Don't dare to eat them. Safety comes first. I miss my sister from Project M. I haven't seen her for a long time. I don't know why I spat out the words. Feeling a little guilty, Sugu said, let's just waste it. Find tiles, or something flat, and then float it. Sugu is very good at this kind of thing. No little girl is better than him. I don't want to play, I feel uncomfortable. Sit on the dock with the submarines and listen to the waves crashing on the shore. The setting sun shone on everyone, and everyone sat in rows and swayed their legs together on the edge of the pier. The dinner bells were still not very audible on the quayside. Soon after, Fletcher came to call for help. She had been responsible for this matter. Going back, going back. U-47, you're up too, hi. Sugu picked up U-47, put it on his shoulders, and let U-47 ride. U-47 held Sugu's head and finally gained some energy. Transformers, move forward, our journey is the sea of stars. This afternoon was like usual, until U-47 shouted, a ship is coming, no, someone is coming.